So welcome everybody, whether you're here live or back recording, to our online call, Nourish to Flourish, Fuel Your Body and Feel Your Best. Co-hosted here with Leslie Mason, Hayley Fleming, and myself, Stacey Salasia. We're really excited to share this foundational wellness that doTERRA has. Just like we have an oil for that, we have a whole set of supplements and amazing supports for our bodies for this foundational level of wellness. A lot of people don't know that the supplements are actually one of the biggest selling, or I think it might be the biggest selling product in doTERRA, even though we're known as an essential oil company. So, with that, I might just invite you, Hayley, if you'd like to just say a few words as to why doTERRA for you, why you love it so much. I know you've been with doTERRA for 13 years and as a somatic therapist with your business Earthed Intimacy. Yeah, you use the oils a lot, but love to hear from you to start with, if you'd like to jump
Yeah.
in.
Hello, checking you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes. Thanks for organizing this. And yeah, my why with doTERRA started when my children were babies and or toddlers and babies. And it was all about that, having a little medicine cabinet and a healer in our own home. And it was young mum making things from scratch, trying to DIY all of my cleaning products and things, and then a beautiful momentum carried into a business opportunity. So I took that and been sharing and having my doTERRA business active now for 13 years. And as my career evolved into somatic therapy and counseling and things, I've been able to continue that emotional connection through, like the essential oils and with my clients. But only recently it's kind of changed and the supplements have become appealing and I'm hearing so many great things and I've started to actually use them in my own life. So I went through that whole time of not not being on the odd occasion I'd take some probiotics with doTERRA or something when I felt like the kids or I needed them, but only recently it's kind of become a thing and it's become more of a ritual for me to use the supplements. So I'm excited to be here and to even learn more about them through Leslie. Um, yeah, and as I'm 42, just turned, and my world's changed from those early days in doTERRA. So it's all that, coming into perimenopause years and wanting to look after me to be able to keep showing up for my people. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here and be learning.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, love that. For me as well, that empowerment aspect of the health choices for my family, that was initially my reason, I suppose. But I was reflecting on my why and I actually realized it's more about the integrity of doTERRA as a company in terms of like right from the top, like right from the people that have founded doTERRA and their heart and their humanity and the way they source everything and the purity and the science behind everything. As I've eventually, decided to transition my home and all my personal care and everything to doTERRA, I realize it's of the highest. I can trust it, and same as me as a customer for 10 and a half years straight. I've seen how they operate in terms of their customer service, and like if I stuff up an order or something, no worries, like we'll send you out the free product anyway, even though it was my mistake. Or so the integrity, I think for me is super important. So yeah, that feels very much in alignment for myself personally as to why now I feel passionate about sharing these amazing products as well. So you'll hear a bit more from us later as well, but I'm going to hand over now to you, Leslie. So yeah, Leslie is an exercise scientist, has an amazing extensive knowledge of physiology. I believe you're also a marathon runner, Leslie, so
Yeah,
you certainly know your stuff. So yes, thank you so much for putting this amazing presentation together for us. Looking forward to hearing more.
very welcome. Like my why. So I started with doTERRA back in 2017 and I had started running in 2014. So I wasn't always this person that ran up mountains. So I do marathons, yes. I also do ultra marathons, so up to like 160 odd kilometers. And so moving my body is a big thing. But then it was still feeling stuck. You know, those instances where you kind of go, I'm doing all the things. I should be feeling great. I should be completely healthy. right? Because we're ticking all the boxes. And yet I still felt pretty crap. I had a couple of health issues, and then a friend reached out, and it was, for me, it was a bottle of lavender. And the very next month, actually, my second month in doTERRA, I started with lifelong vitality, and I've never stopped. So it's a big part of what I do. For myself, it's a big part of what I teach, because movement is medicine, and movement's not just about us moving our body physically. It's about all of that movement in and out of the cells, and you'll see that come up as a bit of a common theme. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So let's get straight into it. And unashamedly, this class today and this session today is focused on nourishing. So nutrition, digestion, and really focusing on doTERRA supplements that help us meet those goals there. So unashamedly, it's all about that. Okay. And it's a very specific focus. So some people watching this might be super familiar with the wellness pyramid. For those that aren't, and even for those that would love a refresher, we have this scaffold of elements, and these elements are really what support our health and wellness on an ongoing basis. Now we've got that base of nutrition and digestion, and we build on that with each level as we get towards the top. And so today we're really focusing on that bottom level, nutrition and digestion. So we like to think of these as the foundations of a house, right? If we build on shaky foundations, that house is really likely to topple over. Just like our health and wellness, if our nutrition and digestion are a bit shaky, there's a flow-on effect all the way up the line, and we might get a little bit out of whack and topple over. So this is why we talk about it first. Okay, that's why we talk about it first. Now, why do we start with nutrition and digestion? Why is it at the base of our scaffold or pyramid? Now, this, right, is a bit, busy. Let's face it, this is a bit busy. So this is how our cell creates energy. Now, I'm not going to go through this, but this is something that I do teach on a regular basis. Now, the one thing I just want to highlight here is that every time there might be an arrow, that's another process. And when I say that's another process, that's another chemical reaction. So this is going to need either some sort of nutrient, some kind of enzyme, some kind of mineral to make that happen. So therefore, if we don't have adequate nutrition, it's much harder for our body to make energy and for us to feel like we have energy. And I'm just adding this little bit of context here, and I found this on the good old Instagram, Twitter, social media realm, right? And the reason we do focus on nutrition and digestion is because most health problems is not bad luck, it's not luck. It starts with a long time of habits, and it's often linked to nutrition. And it's not because we're being bad, guys, right? I really want to highlight that. This is not me sort of saying, hey, you've been really bad. That side of things, you can make your own judgment around that. But I also want to highlight here that the system kind of sets us up to really fail when it comes to food and nutrition, because they love to tempt us with things that don't serve all of these metabolic pathways, right? But I guess this guy who's a doctor, he's basically said if people can nail their nutrition, they can start to turn some things around. And so this is another part of the reason why we focus on this at the base of our scaffold first. So the questions we ask here around nutrition and digestion. Are you giving the body what it needs? And can your body absorb it? So the first question is often relatively easy in the sense of, are we giving our body what it needs in terms of, is the food that we're putting in serving what our body needs? Now, what I'm going to add an extra layer of here is it's not just about calories, and I'll touch on that a little bit more, but it's like, is it getting the micronutrients? Is it getting vitamins, minerals, as well as total calories? Okay. And then can our body absorb it? So the top line is about the nutrition. The second one is actually a little bit about the digestion, right? So are we digesting the food we take in? Are all of those nutrients getting into the cells to be able to create that energy and go through those processes that I showed previously? So this is moving beyond sort of knowing what to do. This is totally not a suck eggs type session. A lot of us know we need to eat whole, fresh foods. Yeah. We need to decrease things that don't serve us, particularly sugars, right? Particularly sugars. And we often know that we need to do this. We often want to make changes in this area, but each of those daily choices comes together. The other element that I'm going to highlight here is that the whole moderation thing that people talk about, and you'll find that I'm a little bit blunt, so bear with me, but please don't take it personally because it's not meant to be. But moderation is great in theory, but how many times have we said, I'm out for dinner so I can treat myself to this? And then all of a sudden we're treating ourselves really not in moderation anymore. It becomes a regular habit. So we're sort of taking an opportunity here when we ask ourselves these questions. Are we doing the do? Or do we need some help to tweak what we're doing? And then just as there's a little bit of a why, with why a lot of the time we use doTERRA in general, why do I want to make these changes? Because when we're clear with the purpose of why we are changing our habits, right, it'll be easier to make those little choices that we have to make throughout the day. Now, this is where the supplements do come in, right? Because we can actually support ourselves alongside different choices during the day too. Now, the supplements are not a magic pill. I will say that here. This is designed to supplement our already supportive choices. And that doesn't mean that our supportive choices are perfect, right? And that's why I use the word supportive. Okay. Okay, measuring wellness. Now, this is where I'm going to get you guys to think about where you're at. Okay, so what does being well mean for you? So for me, I often frame this around, can I do what I want to be doing physically, emotionally, mentally? Do I have the function I want? This could be keeping up with kids or grandkids. For me, do I have enough energy? Do I have the wellness to be able to climb my mountains? Because that's what is a passion for me, right? Or is my body limiting me in some way? Often we might put around this the lovely framework that often gets thrown out. Oh, I can't do this anymore because of my age or because of my stage of life. I actually call BS on that. That's not an excuse. Because yes, things do change as we age, but we are absolutely in control of them. Okay. And that's primarily what I work with people on, is like lifestyle behavioral change to optimize function of our bodies. And we feel better and we meet our goals. So what I'd like you to do is think about your overall wellness and give yourself a score out of 10 as to how you're feeling in terms of overall wellness versus the goals and how you judge your own wellness, right? You do not need to compare yourself to me or anyone else, okay? Then I'd like to give yourself a score between 0 to 10 on nutrition and digestion. So in this instance, your score might be impacted by, okay, do I feel like I'm putting in everything my body needs? Is one aspect. And then the other part is, am I having any gastrointestinal distress? Do I feel like my gut's working right? So those are the two elements around the nutrition digestion. Okay, so give yourself a score there. And you don't have to share it, but potentially in the Q&A, when we can get into some juicy stuff, if there's something that's come up for you, feel free to ask some questions around that. Okay, now I will be the first to say, and as I mentioned before, we are kind of set up to fail in this respect, right? Society doesn't necessarily help us feel well the way that we live life these days, unless we make a conscious choice not to. So stress, sleep, toxins, whether we move or not. Like a lot of us have jobs that keep us stuck at a computer. I'm one. Like unless I physically need to get out and go for a run, which is I think part of the reason why I do it, right? It's like I'm training, I've got to get out. It gives me that reason, that why. And then of course we've got our nutrient deficiencies. Now these are related to obviously sometimes choices, but also some of the things that we can't avoid around that. So we'll touch on both. Now, 9 out of the 10 most impactful risk factors for our health are rooted in poor nutrition. So this is why it warrants a whole session on its own, right? And so this is again linking to how it's the foundation. We're just reminding that we are right on the bottom. Now, the other aspect here, right, is that nutrition and digestion, right? So if we have, say, a gut upset, will we avoid movement? Probably. If we feel like we don't have energy, will we avoid movement? Yeah, probably. If we are super stressed, will we make better or worse decisions around our nutrition? If we have a bit of an overload from our environmental toxins, how does that feel? Particularly if our nutrition and digestion is a bit sluggish, how is our body then able to purge those from the system? So this just is sort of highlighting how they're all linked together. So whilst it's the foundation, none of these levels are isolated. Now, this is what happens when we don't focus enough on the base, right? Our scaffold topples over. We end up being in firefighting mode, going, heck, this is the condition or our concern, and we really need to go down that track of proactive medical care and so forth, right? Because when we're talking about those 9 out of 10 wellness issues, those are generally going to be things that send you right to the top of the pyramid if they eventuate. I know it's not the prettiest of slides there. That's literally a picture I took at Global Convention because I just love it so much. I just love how it topples over. Okay, and this is the traditional view of nutrition. Okay, calories in, calories out, linked to our weight, linked to how we look, not necessarily how we feel. Good old society there, hey? Makes you chuckle. Now, and you'll notice that there's a real focus on things like our macros and how much we move. These things are valid, but where we're taking us today and where doTERRA takes us is that nutrition equals nutrients. So we have nutrient requirements. And so these are based on a US source, but our requirements and recommendations in Australia are not all that dissimilar. So we're talking about things like our vitamins and our minerals like magnesium and calcium. And so we really need to make sure that our foods deliver that. Now, in that previous model, when we're focused on calories in, calories out, you might have had an instance, and I've had an example of this, where people have said, hey, I've got a calorie target for the day and I can lose weight. And guess what? I found this meal at insert fast food chain here. This keeps me under so many calories a day and I can still have that. And I'm like, that's not the way it works, because that food isn't going to nourish the cell, right? And so what you end up with is, yes, you've got the calories, but you feel like you're starving still. And you end up actually starving your cells because that food is not delivering the nutrients that it needs to be able to perform all its functions. And so this is the new way to look at nutrition. It's not purely weight loss, although obviously that's a big part of things for people. But once you find that your cells are getting what they need, you might feel like you naturally eat less anyway. Because if you're focusing on nutrient dense, your body is going to feel full because it's like, oh, I've got what I need. This is cool. And that's kind of a state that we want to be in. Okay, but what happens when we don't do this, right? So what happens when we go down that other route that I described? So any conditions that we might be dealing with can keep getting worse. We get issues around bone health, cardiovascular health, etc. Our hormones get out of whack, particularly important for those going through changes around menopause and perimenopause. And the reason this is super important is because when we talk about hormones, the master hormone is insulin, right? It regulates all others, right? Insulin and cortisol. And that is inherently linked to our nutrition. Okay. And then a flow-on effect there, we end up impacting our metabolism. We might feel like our body is not responding to the same things. The other thing I'm going to just add here is we can get away with some poorer decisions when we're younger, but the reason we can't get away with them when we're older is not because we're older. Like, that obviously happens by default, because as each day goes on, we do get older. But it's because it's the consequence of, 10, 20 years of doing those decisions, right? And so it's a cumulative effect of those decisions. It's not because we happen to hit a certain age. So there's a kind of a few memes going around on the socials at the moment. The hot flushes I feel like in my 40s are linked to those burgers at Macca's that I was having in my 20s type scenario. And that's very much the case. Okay. Again, I'm going to say this without any judgment. I want to share this information so that you are informed. Now, there's also aspects here that we can't avoid about our food. So we could be going down the track pure organic food, right? And we're really picky about what we eat, etc. However, food these days is not the same as food 50 or 100 years ago. So we've been stripping out nutrients from the diet. Firstly, the soils and the way we farm. Secondly, all of the engineering of particularly fruits and vegetables to make them more flavorful, right? So these wild apples that you can see there have 100 times more phytonutrients than the apples you can buy these days. Mind you, you probably wouldn't enjoy the taste of those wild apples as much as you would as the ones you can get from the shops. You know, there's a reason they've done it. Okay. But this very fact means that even we can be doing all the things and still potentially not hitting some nutrient requirements, which is really where the supplements come in, because we want to get enough of the right stuff, right? And sometimes we can't necessarily get that through food itself, right? We need to meet the nutrition and digestion needs of our bodies. Okay. This is the hero product of doTERRA. It is the #1 selling product in the world for doTERRA. There is a green powdered version, VMG, that's out in the US and in Europe. But this is the OG. This is the OG. And this has our essential fatty acids in it. We have carotenoids. We have essential oils. We have vitamins, minerals. We have a blend that promotes cellular longevity. You know, live long and prosper, so to speak, if we bring out the whole Star Trek scenario. And then, of course, we want a bit of energy. And so what we have here are 3 different supplements that are designed to work synergistically together. Now I'm going to flag here, a full dose is 2 of each of these twice a day. Okay, you can do what you like around how you can manage your dosage, right? People do different things. But if you're keen to take advantage of the 30-day money back guarantee, it's 2 of each twice a day, right? Because that's the full dose. Many of the founders are basically saying if you share with them that you don't take the full dose, they reckon you're nuts. But hey, it's all good. Just flagging that that's the case. Now, I'm not going into the details here, but this is our food nutrient complex, which is, say, our multivitamins. That's the word I was looking for. You can see all the things, right? It has a heck of a lot. Okay, a heck of a lot. Then this is our cellular energy complex, the Alpha CRS Plus. Again, it's got all the things. Yeah. And then we've got our omegas. So obviously we've got our fish omegas, plus we have an essential oil blend to aid with absorption of the omegas as well. Now you'll find that in each of them, you've got botanicals and you've got some oils, and this helps with absorption. Also, the botanicals that doTERRA choose are bioavailable, and they use methods around that. Now, the great thing about having the oils in there is because a lot of us here know that the oils are awesome, but our cells, where we want all these nutrients to go, have like a fatty membrane. It's called a lipid membrane. So many supplements that are water soluble find it hard to penetrate that. But when the oils are carrying it in there, it makes it that little bit easier, which we love. Now, if we were to look at, oh, Leslie, you're telling me that I should get this from real food. Yep, wherever we can, we should be having real food. Now, I'm going to pull out a couple of foods that I absolutely love, right? So if I were to get the zinc that's in the dosage, right, I'd need to eat 180 oysters. If I wanted to get the vitamin D3, I'd need to eat 186 eggs. The vitamin K, 35 cups of blueberries. 9 gallons of chocolate milk. So even if we wanted to do this, guys, even if we wanted to do this, how hard would it be to get all that food into our bodies? Yeah. On top of that, if we were to put that in a shopping cart, you can kind of see the difference here. So the 155 is the Australian wholesale price, okay? And that 1,300 are numbers that they've done in the US, so it might even be a bit more than that, right? Because let's face it, every time we go to do our groceries, that bill's going up, yeah? So every time I present this, it's probably a little bit out of date on the groceries side of things. So one thing that people do say to me is that, oh, $155 is a lot. But we just saw how many different nutrients are in this pack, and we're kind of comparing it to the real food. Plus, you've got the convenience. You don't have to do any cooking or prep, which you would have to do with all that food also, right? So there's a few things going on there. Now, as I mentioned, we've got the oils to make the bioavailability increase, but the fact that we have chelated inorganic materials, so we're binding anything in there that might be slightly inorganic to organic compounds to make sure that we absorb them better. And we're making sure that we've got natural ratios. So a little bit like our essential oils, right? So say a peppermint, the reason peppermint is so good versus say a menthol product from the supermarket is that it's got not just the menthol, it's got all the other key constituents in it. Again, we've got like whole plant botanicals to give us that full spectrum. And this means that our body recognizes what's in LLV and is going to be more willing to take it into our cells. Okay. That is the nutrition side of things very quickly. And then we now need to move on to that digestive element. So the big thing here is we can't use what we don't absorb. And so whilst we have things like LLV that are structured and made to make it more bioavailable to the body, we also need to have a digestive system that is willing to do its job, to take things from our gut into its cells. We can have a microbiome that doesn't support that. We could lack digestive enzymes that prevents that happening too, particularly around when we're eating real food. And it's super important because, as we were talking about before, that nutrition and digestion has such a flow-on effect to other scaffolds of our health. There's the gut-brain connection. So if our gut isn't doing what it's designed to do, we're more likely to be irritable, to have bad mood, potentially even lead to more serious conditions in that area. Then immunity. 70% of our immune system is in our gut. That means if we're going to get a bug in our system, can our gut deal with it straight away? Can it do all the signaling it needs to do to the brain to fight it? And the question I'm going to ask around here, and again, you don't have to say this out loud at all, but something that'll be useful to you, how regular are you? Are you eliminating from the system the waste products regularly? And what I'm going to flag here is that some doctors might be happy with you going a couple of times a week, number twos. Really, this should be daily, if not 2 or 3 times a day. I'm really going to flag that, because that means that we're actually detoxifying as well. And so that's the elimination side of things. We're not going to focus too much on that, but what we will have, right, is by working out, okay, am I actually pretty regular? We can kind of assess, okay, how is my digestion working? We can use it as a way. And is it too regular? Is it not regular enough? Do I feel crap after certain foods? Take those notes around that. Take the opportunity to learn about you. So again, on this side of things, we have a supplement for that, just like we've got an oil for that. Okay, so we have the PB Assist probiotic formula, and we have our digestive enzymes in Terrazyme. So these we would take alongside our lifelong vitality. The PB Assist will support that microbiome. And then the Terrazyme provides digestive enzymes. So if you're having trouble breaking down things like fats or lactose or gluten or carbs, right? If there are certain meals that you go, oh, that feels a bit weird, that might be due to lack of digestive enzymes. If you're having a situation where food wants to come back up after you eat, again, that could be a sign of not enough digestive enzymes in the system to break down the food. So that's why it's kind of wanting to go back up the other way. So those are all signs. So the idea is that you could take PB Assist daily. Some people, if they need some extra support with their microbiome, might take it up to 3 times a day with every meal. Terrazyme you could take with your heaviest meal of the day. Again, some people take it with every meal, 1 or 2 capsules. This is something that you can work out for yourself, right? Depending on your needs. But a lot of people, even when you listen to the founders speak at things like convention, they will often be taking the whole set daily and will never compromise from that because of the benefits that they feel. And yeah, we'll touch on a bit more of that later. Then, of course, we do have some proactive self-care around. We have an oil for that. We do have our Digest Zen oil, which comes in the 15 ml and the touch and the soft gels. Now, these are great for a more reactive situation. Do you feel discomfort? Right? And this is when you'd pull out good old Digest Zen. So it helps us digest our food. If we've got an upset tummy, if we feel a bit bloated, if we're trying new foods or if we're traveling, you can add it to water or you could just apply it topically to your tummy. You could even just pop it in a diffuser for the little ones, right? If they need a bit of support in this area. Sometimes if we are feeling a bit under the weather and we might have some seasonal bugs going around, this is also another good one to pop in the diffuser, because when we're talking about our immune system living in our gut, we kind of want that working well too. So it's a surprisingly helpful oil in many, many areas. And a lot of people love it if they get travel sick as well. Like it's kind of a travel go for. Okay, I am not going to talk about my personal experience around lifelong vitality, but I'm going to open this up to both Stacey and Hayley to sort of share some of their personal experiences around it.
Sure. Thanks, Leslie. I'll jump in. I'll say that I have always taken supplements all my life. I've been one of these people that are consistent. But it was only maybe 5 years ago that I kind of realized that I could actually use the doTERRA supplements. However, I was only on the half dose for that whole time. And it's probably only been the last maybe 3 or 4 to 6 months that I've actually upped it to the full dose. Now, the main thing I'll say that I've noticed is that I've been super, super busy this year, more than usual. And other than one little blip, I've pretty much maintained health. And I'm talking people in the household gone down with the flu for a whole week with temperatures. And I've maintained well-being and not getting sick is probably the main thing that I've really noticed, and my own energy levels since being consistent with that. The other thing, my partner Ty, who some of you who might be watching know my partner Ty, he's been sharing the lifelong vitality and the supplements with a lot of men. And what he's noticed, same kind of thing. It's this thing like their capacity has really improved. And they sometimes think, oh, nothing's really happening. But again, when they think about how much they've actually started doing that they couldn't do before, and now they're doing more, it's almost like it's only when you reflect back to how you used to feel before that kind of you realize, oh, something is shifting. He's also helped like a lot of men actually get off a lot of medications, a lot of you know, they're getting a lot of that physical support, so they're not needing their medication so much. Things around addictions as well. It's just giving them that foundational support that is really making a difference, even in their relationships. You know, having that presence in relationships. You know, the mental health side of things as well. So yeah, sometimes I think we forget about it's almost like, for me, it's a bit like the boring part of the pyramid, yet it's the most important. So yeah, I love how you were sharing about that, Leslie. Thank you. Yeah. Hand over
Those
to
are
you,
some,
Hayley.
yeah.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. The main thing that I've noticed, I suppose, as I said, well, opposite to Stacey, I've always been a very hopeful supplement taker, but it never works out, and I always end up with these random excess things everywhere through my life. But at this age that I am, I feel like more ritualistic. So meaning I'm enjoying like having the supplements there reminds me to the same way the diffuser does, like putting oils in the diffuser. It's like it just stops you for the moment and creates a ritual in the day. And I've been really enjoying that. On a physical level, I think the main obvious difference for me was my bowels, not in so much in frequency, but more too much information, apology in advance, whatever. But it's the color, because I was having really serious problems with my liver earlier this year, to the point where I was going to attempting to do my usual sauna and ice bath routines and colonic routines and things like that. And I was getting really sick. Like I was almost at hospital once or twice up in Byron Bay when I visited there with my daughter, and she was like, "What's going on, Mum?" And I was really unwell, and I found out I needed a lot of liver support because yeah, like I couldn't handle that much detox at once. So my feces was yellow, like, which it signifies a really sluggish liver. And I'm happy to report that, yes, it's not been the case, and that they're nice and brown. Lots of info for you guys. So it's like, yeah, 2 to 3 times a day, feeling of completion, that really nice feeling that we all enjoy, where there's no bloating and there's completion and it's a nice color. And that's my major, you know, difference I could report. But I do really feel that you know, the emotional connection for me, like I feel really grounded in my body and my feelings, and feel clearer and stuff like that. So it's been a pretty recent addition, but a powerful one, I would say.
Those are some really powerful stories. And I think the one thing I might just add, which I think is incredibly valuable, is just that it complements the way our body functions. And I think in every example that's just been given, this product has shown how it just complements function or something that's been holding someone back and they felt limited in some way. And that might have been their relationships, or it might have been like organ function, right? But in each instance, it supported that. And I really, yeah, I think that's a really key thing there to kind of highlight. Sometimes people say to me, but you tell everybody to do this. And I'm like, yeah. And there's your examples, right? Because it really does have a broad spectrum application to people. Thanks, guys. So again, just something else to touch on. We had a look previously at that shopping cart. This is now basically saying similar thing, right? But if we were to replicate what's in this awesome box of Lifelong Vitality and had to get enough all of those nutrients out of other products out there, if you went to do that separately, it's likely going to be close to double. So we do have some value there. And I'm just going to highlight here 30 days guarantee here. Like, this is really risk-free to try. This is risk-free to try. The only thing I'll say is when you're doing, if you want to kind of test this out, do the full dose, legends. Do the full dose. Okay, and so why doTERRA? Each of us touched on this a little bit before, but there's a couple of things that I want to highlight here. Is firstly, we have the CPTG, which is Certified Pure Tested Grade Essential Oils. Now, this gives us that guarantee around purity. And what I want to highlight here is that doTERRA don't talk about this a heck of a lot, but the processes involved with the purity of essential oils, that translates across to its supplements, guys. We're not getting crappy supplements. And so again, they apply their sourcing model, not just to their oils, but to their supplements, right? And so we are looking for a sourcing model that does not rip off farmers, that supports the societies and the communities in which these products are being sourced from. And we have a system of distribution, i.e. through people like myself, Hayley and Stacey here, that we share our knowledge, right, with you. And so this ensures that you guys are getting the support you need and that you can feel confident that what you're putting in your body isn't rubbish, right? We can't always be sure of that when we're taking in some of our food out there, right? But I feel a heck of a lot more confident around using my doTERRA products because I feel like I know what we're getting. And on a personal note, when I was over in Utah recently, I was able to tour the facility at Pleasant Grove and see how they do stuff and speak to the scientists that test the product. And I feel even more confident that if we're looking at a label and it says this is what's in it and this is how much is in it, that's exactly what we're getting. So some people in Australia might have seen the stuff on the news from Choice around sunscreen, saying that they're labelled a certain SPF, but it's much less. And so the label claims aren't being delivered on. Well, I spoke with one of the scientists over in Utah, and she actually tests the doTERRA sunscreen, which is only available in the US, but she was saying that if it comes back anything other than what's on the label, it gets rejected. And that's happening all the way through. So we are not getting expensive pea, people. Just going to flag that. And of course, whilst we're doing this online, many of us sit around tables like this and share the products, share our knowledge on a daily basis. We have a direct selling model with doTERRA that it does not shy away from. Because how many times have you gone into, say, a health food store and gone, oh, that supplement looks good, but how should I use this? What's the best way to use it? Oh, I'm not really sure how to use it, so I'm going to let that sit on the shelf for a while. If anyone had that kind of feeling at any point in their lives? Yeah, probably. Right? Having our wellness advocates and doing a direct selling model means that you have us as a resource. And I'm going to never shy away from that, and doTERRA will never shy away from that. Okay, so if you are watching this video and you're like, okay, let's do this, how do I get started? Well, that's going to be talking to the person that invited you to watch this video. Step one. But I also want to highlight that you can save. So by getting your wholesale account, getting your own account, you save 25% right off the bat. You have an opportunity to get free shipping depending on the size of your order. And then you can earn points and free product by doing regular monthly orders through loyalty rewards. So you can save even more money that way. Plus, there are typically lots of different monthly offers and promotions that come up. And for example, at the time of recording, a few of us here are doing Diamond Club. And whilst that doesn't mean a lot to a whole heap of people, it means that there's kind of some free oils that we can share, which is great. And if you happen to be someone that might be reactivating, there's also some free oils on offer as well. So again, always go back to the person that invited you here. Or if you can't reach out to anyone, we're always going to help you and help in a way that's going to be in integrity, right? So, yeah, just reach out. Now, I'm just going to highlight that 30-day money-back guarantee again on the LLV. Now, the best way to get started, whether it's with a new enrollment order or whether it's your first time with Lifelong Vitality, is you can bundle your LLV into a custom kit. This basically means that if you wanted to get your LLV with your nutrition supplements here, your digestion supplements, sorry, you would save some money because you get it at a cheaper price by bundling. And I'll highlight that exactly how that works in a sec. Then, of course, right, we can't forget about all the other steps in the pyramid, right? We might want some support with aches and pains or sleep. You know, talk to your wellness advocate and actually get a custom kit to support what you're at. When we get on LRP, which is our loyalty rewards, we can potentially space out our orders. We can, like I said, get free stuff. So don't shy away from that, because once you start with your Lifelong Vitality, you know, this is a regular monthly thing anyway. So why not get a benefit for taking your supplements? You're not going to get that if you get your supplements from the shops, are you? You're not going to earn points. And again, at the time of recording, particularly for those that are earning lower amounts on their points back on their loyalty rewards, there is a promo where you can actually get to your maximum points back super quickly. So again, speak to whoever's talking to you. There's always more ways to save. So this is the bundle scenario when I talk about bundling. So if you get your Lifelong Vitality pack, you can choose up to 3 of these 5 supplements shown here at a reduced cost, which is a great way. So for example, just by bundling your Lifelong Vitality, your PB Assist and your Terrazyme, you save $46. So this applies across any kind of order when you bundle them together. So it's definitely the best way to do it. And then again, if you've got some other needs, you might want to add one of these other 3, just depending what your goals are. All right, there's 3 types of people. There's more than that in the world, but there's 3 types of doTERRA people. There are people that just love the product, want to use the product. A lot of people end up going into this next zone though, because they go, these products work for me so well, I need to tell my mum about it. Or I need to tell my sister or my friend about it. And so you end up sharing something that's working for you. And then some of you watching this might go, I want to do what you do, Leslie, or Stacey or Haley, and I want to make this something where I can help change people's lives and build a business. These are all valid options. However you want to use doTERRA and have that as part of your life. Again, you know what I'm going to say. Talk to the person that sent you this video and why you're watching. And resources. You are never going to be on your own. We have websites, podcasts, trainings, social media. And then, of course, you have us. We are your resources. The most powerful resource we have in doTERRA are our wellness advocates. And so you can see here, feel free to do a screen grab or whatever around our details, because you can follow us on the socials, you can reach out via email, and we'll be here to help. And if you're watching this and you already have your doTERRA account and you need some advice, you know, just reach out. We are a global cross-collaborative world these days, right? It's not, oh, I have to talk to one person and so forth. It's not the way doTERRA works anymore, if someone has ever been that way, right? So reach out, we'll help. And if we can't, we'll find someone who can. Like, this is the thing, we've each got our little niches. And if your concern is not in our niche, we will know someone that can help you better than us, which is pretty cool. Okie dokes. I'm going to stop sharing, and thank you so much for watching. I just need to stop there.
Amazing.
And we might stop recording and get into the juice stuff.
Cool. There was one question in the chat, Leslie. I'll just get you to have a quick look at that before we do sign off. But this has been so good, like I said, for me to really understand the importance of this base foundational level, even as someone that's been on this journey for so long, for you to explain it in that way has something for me has really landed. And I'm so grateful for you sharing that with us with your passion. You can really, we loved your straight shooting way of sharing that with us. So thank you for not holding back.
Yeah, I can't hold back. I need to be a
Love
bit
it.
bold.
We love it. So,
So which
yeah, go
question
on.
did you want me to answer on before we stop recording?
Yeah, just around, you did speak to the idea of going on the full dose straight away. Do you sometimes recommend people might start off just on a half dose initially for a week or something, just to ease in, see how their body
You
goes?
can
What do you say to that?
you can absolutely try any dosage level that suits you. I know people that just take one of each a day, but that's the way that they use it.
Yeah.
It's really up to you. If you feel like you need to ease in a way that suits you. I'm not necessarily going to pre-prescribe that, because I think we need to learn to trust our intuition a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. All right. Does anyone want to say anything else before we sign off on the recording?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that a little bit in that I noticed those detox symptoms, and I did back off a tiny bit and went back to half dose for a couple of days, and then I went back again. So if you're listening to your body and, just not being afraid of things though, right? Like, because if it's doing something like that, then obviously there's stuff there to be detoxed. So it's kind of like just listening to the body and going into the amount that feels right, and preparing it for more, basically. That's kind of how I've been doing it.
That's a perfect way to say it, Hayley, because, I think we can be used to people saying, do this exactly and then do that exactly. But
It's
when we listen
non-linear.
to our bodies and we trust our intuition around that, we can ebb and flow as needed.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone for being here on the recording on the call. Like I say, so much great information. Please get in touch with the person that sent you this recording. We do have some amazing promotions and programs and things coming up kind of October 2025 to the end of the year. So yeah, we look forward to being in touch with you soon. All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Hayley and Leslie and Helen.